Hi, at the XL back with another NFXL podcast. And turning away from the wildcard week action, I'm going to go back to looking at the 2026 NFL draft and give you a January update on the running back picture. So, this class has really shallowed out since the last time I looked at it just a month ago. I think it's changed in sort of depth in terms of complexion and dimensions. So, let's go through the candidates. I thought it looked a very strong class just a little while ago. Now I'm not so sure. Certainly, there's some really good candidates in here, but I'll go through it as we go through. But the depth doesn't seem as good. So Jeremiah Love still looks like the outstanding candidate. Surely he'll go in the first 10. Is Aston Gianti type level now? I can't believe the amount of grief Gianti's getting for not doing miracles behind that Las Vegas. I still Raiders O line. I still see him as offensive rookie of the year. I've said that before. But anyway, I think Love could be just as good. Um, so he came into the season as the leading running back draft candidate and is still in that position. Uh, I think he's a top five in this draft. But he's the only round one running back that I've still got at the moment. Some round two possibilities. Um, Jonah Coleman is still my second ranked RB in this list, the senior out of Washington. Um, Probably going to go in the middle of round two, somewhere around there. It really depends what teams, we wouldn't say where they're going to go. It depends what teams look for running backs and where they are in the draft order. But for me, he's still in line to be the second running back taken. But pushing him for that role now, and it could well be that the two top running backs in this draft both come from Notre Dame. Jeremiah Love being the first, and his backup, who's a junior, Jadarian Price, has moved up from 9 on my running back list to 3. He's getting some really positive draft buzz around him. Not literally from the website, just in general. He seems to be moving up draft boards, and I think people are looking at him and saying he's got 761 yards and 13 touchdowns, playing behind um, the aforementioned Jeremiah Love. So what can he do when he's the primary back? That's the way people seem to be looking at it and say instead of saying, actually, is he going to be a running back too in the NFL? So that's the way people seem to be looking at the moment. And so he's in line at the moment to challenge Coleman to be the second running back taken in this draft, and therefore, if not, the running back 3. Another guy I've got potentially in round two is Justice Haynes, a junior out of Michigan. Now, he was the fifth running back in my December update, um, and his season's been curtailed by a foot injury. Now, he's still umming and ahhing about whether to join the draft or not, so he hasn't declared. Michigan have just added another running back via the transfer portal for next season. So whether that will sway Haynes' decision towards going into the draft or not, we'll wait and see. But if he joins the draft, he could be another round two candidate. Um, right. The round three guys. Now, I've got 4 of these. The first of which wasn't even in my December list and is really, um, maybe it was under my radar, but he's jumped right into my list here as the potential fifth running back taken in this draft and right on the edge of getting, certainly, he could get into round three now. And that's because round three could be a blank round even if Coleman and Price both went in round two and Haynes doesn't join the draft, then Emmett Johnson, who's the guy I'm talking about, a junior out of Nebraska, as the fifth running back in this class, maybe doesn't even go in round three, so we could have a blank round. But he's in line to be the next guy off. Comes into this after a huge year at Nebraska, has averaged just under 25 touches a game. So a real workhorse he's been for them. 1,821 scrimmage yards, no less, and 15 touchdowns from 12 games. So that's about 150 yards a game. It's incredible. He's not the quickest or biggest, but has been an excellent dual purpose back this season. But will that translate to the NFL level? But his ability to make defenders miss is his greatest attribute. So he's one certainly coming onto the radar. Katron Allen is now my sixth running back in this list. He was 3 in my December update, so he's dropped down a bit, junior out of Penn State. And his running back partner at Penn State, Nick Singleton, is now my RB7 where he was 6. So both of those guys seem to that they don't seem to be getting much traction at the moment in terms of where they're going to go in this draft. But for me, they're still in contention with Johnson to be that next guy after certainly Love, Coleman, and Price, and see whether Haynes joins the draft or not. So this group of 3 plus one other are all contending to be that RB 4 or 5 in this draft. Um, the other one is Demond Claiborne, the senior out of Wake Forest. He's the lack of high level competition seems to be hurting his chances at the moment. So he might be one who needs a strong senior bowl and or combine to really boost himself back up. I've got him as RB8 at the moment, but like I say, him, Singleton, Allen, and Johnson are all roughly in the same area as far as I'm concerned. Right, this is where we really start to shallow out because the mid rounders, the first 2 weren't even in my December list. One being Seth McGowan, which is a really interesting story. He's a senior out of Kentucky. He had a decent freshman year at Oklahoma, but that was in 2020 before being kicked off their program after being arrested for an off-field incident. After working his way back through junior schools, he re-emerged at New Mexico State in 2024 and then transferred to Kentucky where he put up 851 yards and 12 touchdowns this season. If he can perform well at the Senior Bowl and at the Combine, he could be one of the real comeback stories of this draft class. But yeah, he's got to show up well at those levels. But at the moment, I would say he's more of a mid-round prospect. But like I say, in what's become all of a sudden a bit of a shallow class, which you'll come back to. Mike Washington Jr. is next on my list. He's the RB10 on this list. Senior out of Arkansas, another new addition. He's had a big senior year for the Razorbacks with 1,296 scrimmage yards and 9 touchdowns. He could be a useful addition as a pound out the yards RB2 who does have big playability in him. Once he gets to the second level, he's got speed to make it into big plays. He's had issues with fumbles though and doesn't have the range of abilities of others in this class. He's a bit of a one-trick pony. So he may not be an every down back in the NFL. So again, another possible mid-rounder, as is my RB11 and the last one I've got in this list at the moment, which shows you that it's really has shallowed out a bit. Jamari Taylor, the senior out of Virginia, who was my RB7 in December. So they're the guys that I'm looking at as the ones who have really got the most chance of getting into days 1 and 2. But as I say, I can see even round 3 being a completely empty, devoid round of running back. Sorry, quick drink. And what the reason this class has shallowed out is a number of running backs have opted to stay at college, and they include LJ Martin, who would have been my RB6 on this list, the junior out of BYU. Hollywood Smothers, the sophomore from NC State, well, he's staying in the college sphere. Trey Wisner, the junior out of Texas, the same. Darius Taylor, the junior out of Minnesota, the same. And Mark Fletcher, the junior out of Miami, who's just had a really big game in the college playoff semi-final. He's decided to stay with the Hurricanes for next season. So there's 5 candidates that have disappeared out of this list. Now, I know I brought 2 or 3 in, but what I'm saying is they're probably not of the same quality as the ones who have gone out. So therefore, this running back class seems to be quite shallow to me right now. And if Justice Haynes decides to go back into the college sphere, whether he stays at Michigan or enters the transfer portal, it could get even shallower still. So that's how I see the running back picture as of January. This was recorded on January the 9th, just so it's up to you know whether it's up to date or not, whether I've missed anything. If Justice Haynes comes out and makes an announcement, etc., etc. So that's where we are with running backs. I'll come back in the next few days with my wide receiver update for January. So really going to start building up my draft coverage now. And as I've said before, I'll advertise myself, I'll plug myself. Don't normally do that, but I will here. I don't think you'll find a more accurate source of where people are likely to go in the 2026 NFL draft than myself. I've done analysis of my performance against every other analyst out there, including all the NFL guys, NFL.com guys, and I'm more accurate. So stick with me and you'll know what's going to happen. See you soon, guys.